Abhishek, you're just back from your Israel visit. Could you tell us what exactly was it all about?
Well, it was a good visit in terms of news takeaways and some personal takeaways in terms of understanding Israel as a nation and society. You asked what the visit was about. It was basically arranged through the embassy of Israel in New Delhi, and I believe this is what most nations do, including India. We, for example, our Ministry of External Affairs invites journalists from around the world, and they are taken around. They meet important people, they meet officials, and they generally familiarize themselves with situation on the ground. This is essentially soft power push that nations adopt. So this was Israeli soft power push. Okay. Remember, they are facing a lot of flack from around the world. It's a very difficult time for Israelis to be presenting their best picture to anyone. You know, there is a lot of circumspection.
Meeting Netanyahu was one of the highlights of the meeting. In fact, you said that you had made it a point that you would be meeting Netanyahu. How was it? I mean, were there any kind of, were there any rules of engagement that were laid out? How was, what are the key takeaways from the Netanyahu meeting, so to say?
I can tell you that there were no rules of engagement. And the reason why we insisted, or I personally insisted, I did not get a visa till that meeting was finalized, is because he's the newsmaker from Israel. I mean, he's the face of Israel in the present circumstance. And if any question has to be asked, it has to be asked of the Prime Minister of Israel. Right. So that's why we pitched for it and we got it, and we were happy that we got the opportunity to ask. In fact, there was an international headline that came out of our engagement with Prime Minister Netanyahu. I found him to be a man of a lot of clarity and conviction. You can always dispute Netanyahu's conviction or juxtapose his conviction vis-a-vis the convictions of his opponents. But the fact of the matter is that he took all questions from us. In fact, when we were ushered into his office, there was no briefing whatsoever from anyone from his team, from the Prime Minister's office, telling us that this is what you can ask, this is what you cannot ask. Okay. And he took all questions. And the first question that was shot at him was, given the Gaza situation, how do you justify Israeli military operations? Right. I asked him that there are protests happening outside your office. Right. How do you tackle them? Correct. Right? Correct. I asked him, given the kind of international pressure that's there now, with all these nations deciding to recognize the state of Palestine, how do you justify your doubling down of your war on Gaza? On Hamas, they say, and the Israelis maintain that their war is against Hamas and not against the Gazans and the Palestinians at large. Correct. Just that Hamas as an ideology has seeped so down into the people there that, according to Israelis, it's difficult. It's a great mass of people who have some under duress also sort of gone into the orbit of Hamas, but they are essentially fighting against Hamas, and they want to completely demilitarize Gaza Strip of Hamas is what the position was.
Abhishek, some of the sections of media have in fact questioned your morality in the fact that you accepted an invite from a country that has been allegedly carrying out an oppression against a certain section of people. I want to understand from you, what is it that what is your response to those so-called, the advocates of morality in this case as a journalist? And second, what is it that you did to probably put out a balanced reportage from ground there?
Well, you see, who are these, thekedars of morality? I would want to understand. But I could see that there is something cooking up. And that's that's the reason why we are having this conversation.
Absolutely.
Pranav. This is the third time I got an invite from the Israeli side to visit Israel. I have said no on earlier occasions, like I have generally said no to other countries. I mean, we keep getting those invites, but we keep refusing, we don't go. But it was essentially because of the present context and the situation that's really panning out there that I thought that, okay, fine, if we can have a feel from the ground. And remember, I said that we were supposed to go to the Gaza side also, but we couldn't because of a military operation. So it would be good to have a feel from the ground and to also report from the ground. To your question about what all we did to present a balanced view, you see, I have practiced journalism for more than 2 decades. Putting across the right view comes naturally to me. I don't know who are these morality ke thekedar, but or journalistic morality ke thekedar. But for example, I can tell you that on all the ground reports, we did get the political view from the other side also wherever we could, at the hostage square, at an NGO which is fighting for the hostages, and in fact, as I mentioned, right outside Netanyahu's office. There were protests happening, and I did a fantastic ground report with a lot of voices there, and spoke to them and presented as much diversity as I could.
So you were necessarily looking at this as an opportunity and access to ground zero. That's primarily what you were looking at.
Exactly. So because if you're traveling to a difficult geography and with an active war situation, then you obviously, it helps that there is a facilitation, right? For example, this question that we asked of Netanyahu about what's the moral basis of doubling down on war in Gaza? I could not have asked sitting here. And we have been trying.
He answered.
And he answered, absolutely. He took the question and answered in quite a detail. Right. He gave their side of the view as to why what has happened in Gaza is not a genocide. Now, you can dispute it. He said that, for example, that Hamas, unfortunately, controls the people in a manner that it is looting the humanitarian aid that's coming for the Palestinians there, for the Gazans. And it's monopolizing the distribution of humanitarian aid after that loot, and it's for the world community to come together. I think it's a little complex, Middle East, but we at least got a sliver of that.
Absolutely. I mean, I would rather ask you, would you accept an invite if you got it from the Palestinian side or Hamas, for example? Would you go as a journalist?
Absolutely no. So far as Hamas are concerned, it's a terror organization. It's a terror organization which has inspired a lot of terror activities.
We've had many journalists who visited the likes of ISIS.
In India, Hamas is a terror organization.
Absolutely.
So there is no question whatsoever of entertaining an invite from Hamas. But Palestinian Authority, yes, why not? And as I said, I really wanted to go to the Gazan side also, Gaza Strip, on the other side of the boundary wall, but we couldn't for some reasons I explained to you. But yes, why not? I would absolutely want to take the views of the other side, like we did already in this present trip.
Absolutely. Abhishek, I mean, often this is one of the first lines that you hear as a journalist, that you are not the story. But in this case, you have actually become the story, because there are so many reports that have actually taken a moral stand. Some have even condemned the very fact that you accepted an invite from a state. I'm going to quote one or two or three of them and ask you for your responses on that. In one of the stories in Arab News, for example, Enam Ram, the editor of The Hindu, has called your visit deplorable. What's your take on that?
Well, I've explained why the visit is not deplorable, why it was planned with a certain thought or agreed to with a certain thought. Enam Ram is a senior journalist, and if he's talking about morality, then I have to, hold the mirror. And generally I don't take printouts, but I have got some because I really wanted to show to the people that one, it's mischievous that they are using a platform like Arab News, Pranab, because remember, we have had Abraham Accords a few years ago. Israel has established a diplomatic relationship with 3 of the Middle Eastern countries, which includes the UAE, by the way. Israel and Saudi Arabia were on the verge of establishing diplomatic relationship as part of Abraham Accords 2.0, when in fact this Hamas attack has happened in 2023. Absolutely. So, Middle East politics is complex. We had Netanyahu say, in fact, that most of the moderate Muslims are in the Middle East and the extremist Muslims now live in Europe.
Correct.
So, apart from that mischievous thing, Mr. Enam Ram is someone who was recently pictured at the CPM Politburo meeting.
Correct.
A couple of months back.
Correct.
He's been, people say, a card-holding member of the Communist Party. I don't know. He can clarify about his morality on that,
Okay.
How can you be an editor and a card-holding member of a political party, right? There is this article written in the Indian Express. Maran's patch up, how Stalin, Veeramani and Enam Ram brokered peace. So I don't know whether Mr. Ram took some brokerage. Maybe he's just a friend. Maybe he's just a known person to them, and maybe some relation is there. But, you are taking sides and you're talking about morality. Look at this. You're taking a political position. You are seen at political party events as participant, not as journalist.
Yeah. And the Chief Minister is praising you.
The Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu is hailing Enam Ram as a towering sentinel of Indian journalism. You know, there is this very famous anecdote that once some politician in Haryana, Bansilal or whosoever was there, praised one journalist in front of Ramnath Goenka. Ramnath Goenka sacked that journalist. Now, I have never been praised.
I'll
by
give you
a
one
politician.
example.
I would not want to be.
And one example is from Hindu itself. Sainath was given a Padma Awards, and he said that we're not supposed to take awards from a government which we're supposed to be auditing.
Exactly. You know, Enam Ram, because he's talking about morality, I need to really hold the mirror to him. This is, I picked up this column, this piece of, reportage, which talks about Enam Ram's visit to Tibet in the year 2000. This was obviously facilitated by the Chinese. And he was editor of Hindu at that time, and then he wrote in about his visit.
Okay.
I'm quoting, the sky is turquoise, the sun is golden, the Dalai Lama is away from the Potala palace, making trouble in the west, yet Tibet's on the move. Essentially, Enam Ram was glorifying the Chinese death grip over Tibet. Do Tibetans have no human rights? Did Enam Ram at that time, now pontificating on Palestinians, speak to any of those Tibetan monks who are incarcerated if there is a picture of Dalai Lama seen in their halls? Is that not about freedom of expression that Enam Ram so espouses? Cut to 2025. Recently, the Chinese took a batch of Indian journalists to Kailash Mansarovar. Obviously, this was part of the re-established diplomatic engagement between India and China, between New Delhi and Beijing. So it's okay. There's no harm in taking journalists. As I said, we also went. Others can go. What is the Hindu of Mr. Enam Ram? Not now of Mr. Enam Ram, but the connections remain. Write about this visit. The Hindu is writing about how Lhasa has changed, how Lhasa has developed, how the airport is fantastic. No reportage whatsoever on the situation of the Tibetans who really want Dalai Lama as their leader, as their spiritual leader. You know, the manner in which the Chinese have completely decimated or are trying to decimate Tibetan culture in Tibet, like the manner in which they are taking down the culture of people in Xinjiang. Were there any reports of human rights situation by the Hindu when this visit happened, or by Enam Ram in the year 2000 when he went? No. So what morality is Mr. Enam Ram talking about?
That's well taken. That comment is understood. Now, the second question I want to ask you here. The News Laundry published an article. The News Laundry, in its article, the very headline says, "Few questions on Gaza, fewer on media access inside Indian media's Israel junket," as it talks in detail about what exactly you, as Republic editor who went on ground there, did in its report.
Well, I must say this is absolutely motivated campaign. You know, it's being driven by a certain agenda, and it goes back to India. I will explain to you, but even when we were still there, during our trip, phone calls started coming. Just give you an idea of how motivated this campaign is. That, asking why have you gone to Israel? So obviously these are people who are pontificating journalistic morality, but have already taken a position of one side.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
These are people who are talking about both sidism.
Right.
But themselves taken a certain corner.
Correct.
Of the story, which is pro-Hamas, pro-Palestine, right? They are not differentiating between what I don't see in their write-up, while they are targeting our visit, that there is no nuance whatsoever that Hamas is different and Palestinians are different, right?
Absolutely.
And they are saying questions. Who says questions were not asked? Questions were asked. I gave you evidence.
Absolutely.
I told you that there were no rules of engagement. Every question that was possible was asked of Netanyahu. He answered those questions, right? He's Prime Minister of Israel.
Absolutely.
And if we get an opportunity, we ask the questions, and we did. And also reported on views which are against Netanyahu.
Correct.
And they are part of our reportage. It's available. So what are they talking about?
I'll bring you to the third such comment. The comment comes from a journalist in the same Arab News story, which says mainstream journalists have gone way beyond ethics and their moral compass is now completely unhinged. That's the comment coming from one of the journalists cited in Arab News. The name of the journalist is Ghazala Wahab.
Ghazala Wahab. Now, you see, I don't know her personally, and she's generalizing. Again, moral pontification. But since you mentioned the name, look at this mindset. She writes a column called Consider Kashmir on a day when India is in the midst of Operation Sindoor.
Okay.
On 9th of May. And she is effectively talking about Pakistan. You know, she is just pushing Pakistani talking points. She's saying Kashmiris are fearful for their lives, their employment, future of their children. She's talking about, Article 370, Article 35A, when India is in the midst of Operation Sindoor, like heat of action. She's talking about the cadre distribution of Kashmir police officers. She's talking about another problem, which according to her is marginalization of Kashmiri people. I mean, this is incendiary to say the least. But they are the people least placed to talk about journalistic morality because they take a certain view, they take a certain line, they take a certain political position. They in fact join political parties.
Okay.
Even as they are continuing to be journalists, right? But there is a larger question, Pranav, which I will explain to you about. But if you have another question,
I mean, you linking this to the larger picture brings me to yet another report, which is
I tell you what, because there is a motivated campaign.
Yeah.
Some of our friends who were part of the delegation, they are getting threats now.
Really?
Yes. So you see, there is an entire ecosystem, the lobby as it is called, it has become active. So on the one level, you are having this kind of intellectual terrorism. They are being pushed by the likes of Enam Ram and Ghazala Wahab. On the other, you have this, riffraff trying to intimidate. So would Enam Ram say something about that? These are the people who have umbilical links with the Sar Tansejuda gang.
In fact, this, as you're talking about the larger connection, I want to bring your attention to one of the stories that was published in Dawn, which says that the BJP's India has fully renounced Gandhian and Nehruvian solidarity with Palestine and unreservedly backs Israeli oppression. Do you, as a journalist, really agree?
I don't think. I think this is of course Pakistani propaganda first, and unfortunately, the likes of Enam Ram and Ghazala Wahab and whosoever has been part of this campaign, they are finding themselves in Pakistani corner. Shame on them. I mentioned the Ghazala Wahab piece is effectively picking up Pakistani talking points in the midst of Operation Sindoor. What more can you, do, which gets classified as anti-national? Yeah. But this whole thing about Hindutva and distancing from Palestine, there was a very lopsided position on Palestine. Look at the history of India's diplomatic relationship with Israel. 1948, India refused to recognize Israel. Albert Einstein wrote to Pandit Nehru that please recognize Israel. Pandit Nehru said no. I am not sure how the Arab world would see, and more importantly, people in India, a section of them, are against it. Now, if you look at it, he was talking about the Indian minority, right? We established our relationship with them in 1992, and then Prime Minister Modi becomes first Prime Minister to travel to Israel. Israel is a country which has helped us in 1965 war, 1971 war, the Kargil war, even the latest Operation Sindoor.
Right.
So obviously, this is basically propaganda being pushed and India's evolving position on Israel being compromised.
Wonderful. Abhishek, thanks for putting this in perspective for us. And it's very important for, for someone who has been there, reported, the entire situation from ground zero in a very balanced way, to say that access cannot be denied, but what needs to be done is balanced reportage, which absolutely. Thank you very much for joining us, Abhishek. Thanks a lot.